Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Tonight's guest is the Retro Man, the makeshift apologist on Twitter, Craig Reed.
Hello, hello, hello. That's the Let's Dance is the intro. That's pretty cool. The David Bowie intro. That
Yeah.
was like that was the first time he actually like he'd been famous for a while, and that was his first like really big money success. That single and that album. What was I forget the name of that album? That was off of was Let's Dance the name of the album? I don't
I
remember.
think it might be.
So,
Yeah.
so tell the audience about yourself, Craig.
All right. Well, my name is Craig Reed. I've been on Twitter, I think 4 years at this point. I think I started right at the 2016 election. And I kind of started on a whim. Like I had been on watching YouTube videos for a while of like atheist apologists that you probably heard of, but they're not around as much. Jacqueline Glenn, The Amazing Atheist,
Armor
uh,
Skeptic, Thunderfoot, all that.
Thunderfoot. Yeah. Is Thunderfoot even still on air? I'm pretty sure he doesn't do atheism
Yeah,
anymore.
he's excommunicated because he's battling feminism.
Oh, okay. And then Christina Rad was one of them. So I was like, I was
And
into
TJ
YouTube.
Kirk, the main one.
Yes. And I was watching those guys a lot, just kind of just as entertainment, really. And then I started a Twitter feed, and for a while I didn't even know how to use Twitter. I wasn't making any sense to me. And then one day, all of a sudden, it just clicked, like how to use it. So I started like, just there was atheists on Twitter, and I was just like, by the way, God exists. And all of a sudden, I was in debates with atheists on Twitter. And then, one thing led to another. Like one of the first people I got into a debate with was Atheist Girl and Pink Heretic, and and then one thing led to another, and I was just like, I should try starting a YouTube channel, and then I had my channel for like 3 or 4 years, and it's makeshift apologetics. I didn't even know anything about apologetics before I started, like nothing. It's not if you just go to church and you're a Christian and you're like just kind of like a normal person, it's kind of a side, like an esoteric pursuit. Like now I know it, but when I started, I had never, I barely knew who William Lane Craig was. I remember I was like vaguely like, who is that? So, and then it's taken off. And as
Mhm.
you see, the success and the glory is just accumulated since, right?
Hmm.
The police are coming for us again.
Did you hear that? They're
Yeah.
always trying to. Five always rolls up on me when I'm streaming. Ain't no thing.
So you're a New Yorker living in California. What's that been like?
It's actually been a lot better than I thought. I don't know. You went to New York for a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, a few times.
Like I love New York City, and I love the town I grew up in, which is in Westchester. But in New York City, there's a lot of competition between New York and LA. That's all from New York. They're really self-conscious. Like LA is so dumb. Everyone in LA is like so fake. It's so I hate LA.
All the
And
all
then
the woke Democrats have managed to ruin both cities.
yes, but they haven't actually ruined LA. There's LA is still like living wise, it's 100 times better than New York. Like we have a nice little chill apartment on the beach.
Really saying much.
Yeah, I mean New York is like it was like off the charts when I left. I can't even imagine what it's like now. But like living wise, you can live out here, and in New York you really can't. So it's a lot better in a lot of ways. And the New York is competitive with LA, but LA people are not competitive with New York at all. They don't even think about New York City.
If
So
if New York is the new Rome, then LA would be the new Babylon.
yes, exactly.
Um, yeah. So, Craig, first questions first. Does the power of Christ compel you?
Does the power of Christ compel? Well, I'm definitely a Christian in some ways in the traditional sense, like believe in the power of the Holy Spirit. And I'm out of the box Christian in some ways, but in some ways I'm pretty standard issue traditional Christian. I became a Christian in a church right down the road in California. And it was like, pretty much as far as I know, I don't know if you guys know Erin XDN, but as far as I can tell, the churches that she came from are the same, as very similar to the one that I started attending. Kind of like
She's one of from those anti-intellectual evangelical types.
I
Well,
always ask Christians if the power of Christ compels them, because that's a standard thing in movies.
well, it was The Exorcist that it started from. That
Yeah,
was when they were delivering the demon at the right at the end, right?
yeah. So, that's what I always ask Christians, if the power of Christ compels them.
And how did Sarah react? Did she get thrown? Was she like, did you put her cross up and say, back off, brass? I'll cast demon.
I got, when we were talking to Missing the Mark, he found it funny.
Oh yeah, he did an excellent.
That guy's still around, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did an excellent video on all these different kinds of atheists. He uploaded just today, going over the different types. The old guard, and then the new guard, and then the people in between.
Yeah, that's really cool. What was the old guard is like the people I mentioned, right? So what did he say the difference was?
And now the new guard are basically just leftist carbon copies of the old guard. Not really much has changed.
What about the Midgard?
What about the what?
Midgard. Get it?
No. Should I? What is it?
Midgard.
What is it?
Midgard, the in-between realm. No, not the in-between realm. It's supposed to be the mortal realm.
Yeah.
In Norse mythology.
Oh, is that like Asgard?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't really know Norse mythology all that well.
Yeah. So, you're sort of known for debates that you've been getting in with atheists. I remember a debate that you got with Skylar. And I remember you two had a sort of interesting back and forth with each other.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting.
I also believe you had a debate with Holy Kool-Aid.
That was, if I remember correctly, that was my first debate. That was on the Non Sequitur show. And it was on is religion beneficial to society, I think was the topic. I had been on their show once with Stephanie, where I was talking with, like, I had showed up at the end. I didn't even know Shannon at that point, and I think I barely knew Steve. And I actually didn't realize that it was going to be like official debate. I thought their show was more like, come and hang out and we'll talk about religion. And I didn't realize it was actually like, here he's presenting his argument and I'm supposed to present my count. I mean, I sort of knew that, but I thought it was much more going to be like a laid back, because the first time I was on the show, it was just kind of like I was hanging out with them talking about Christianity, and it wasn't really a debate at all. It was just kind of like, but yeah, that was the first debate, Holy Kool-Aid. And I don't remember that much about it. I just remember
he's in the category of former fundamentalists who just never got over it.
Who, yeah, absolutely former fundamentalist.
Actually, he's not a former fundamentalist. He still is a fundamentalist, just in a different tribe.
Right. Definitely has trace elements of tribal loyalist to atheism, for sure. He can be a fundamentalist as an atheist. I mean, I got no issues with him. He's not a bad guy. He's never done anything to me. But yeah, definitely. His parents were missionaries, I think. Kid. What's that?
He's just a dumb kid.
I think his parents were actual, like, he went overseas, and I don't know what type of Christians they were, but I think they were missionaries, right?
Yeah.
Fundamental.
And not missionary in a good way.
In a good way. Brass will muck it all up with the off-color jokes. Kind of what I was thinking was going to happen. You have me blushing, Brass. I'm blushing now.
That's what you sign up for when you come on this show.
Yeah, I figured that. I
Mhm.
definitely knew that was in town.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and then I debated somebody else. I forget. I debated Jim Majors once on Modern Day Debate on I think a similar topic, anti-theism. And then I had him on my channel, and then I don't know. I wasn't crazy about the whole debate format, So I started interviewing atheists on my channel to get it more like find out more personal information about them and get more of their perspective on why they deconverted. Um, but like originally, I met Drew. I was in kind of a debate on. Do you guys remember Godless Cranium? He doesn't. He's
Yeah.
not really that much of an atheist anymore. He's kind of more like a woke kind of like he's into like I don't know. There's a whole thing going on that you guys probably know more about than I do. That's
It's
kind of interesting.
basically that's all the New Guard is. They synchronize with the woke cult and the leftism in general to stay even relevant.
Right, but there's a whole tension between some of the old guard, right? Like they're
Like
mad at
much of
somebody.
the old guard moved on to the right because they're sick of all this social justice stuff that started to come to fruition in Atheism Plus.
Yeah, Atheism Plus I've heard of, but I don't really know what it is. Like Dawkins, you're talking about Dawkins or
No, Atheism Plus.
Silverman?
No,
No,
Atheism Plus was when they started to like this social justice stuff started to infect the atheist community and divide them on these cultural issues.
and that's kind of happening again. Is that the deal?
Anyway, it's kind of a schism that sort of split off.
Right.
Then
Between
you start seeing more of the New Guard in 2016 and onwards.
I remember Christopher Hitchen was, always got some blowback from atheists when it came to politics because he held some right-wing positions.
Well, yeah, he started as a right wing, like commentator on Fox News. That's where he originally was known as. He was like a pundit.
Yeah, he was a kind of a somewhat well-known journalist in the 80s covering Africa issues over there and stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Then he started hating on high-profile celebrities like Mother Teresa and Princess Diana.
Right, he's the one who started that whole Mother Teresa is a terrible person routine, right?
Yeah.
That whole Mother Teresa.
No, God's engineer still plays that crap.
I think I even did a video on it because I thought it was so silly because it was like, I mean, as far as maybe there's truth. I never read the book. Maybe there's some truth in it. But as far as anybody ever knew, Mother Teresa just, spent time helping poor kids and like feeding the hungry. And like,
Well,
like,
the thing about Christopher Hitchens is that his book contained no footnotes.
So you don't know if it was. Did you guys read it?
And he couldn't tell the difference between the First Crusade and the next three that came after it. He started combining those events together without even researching it.
Yeah, that happens. That happens.
That, I don't have a strong opinion one way or another toward Mother Teresa.
Yeah, neither do I.
I can definitely see the good and bad sides of what she did, but I just don't really have a single, like, a lot of the things that they criticized her about I thought was stupid.
Right.
Like, for example, like, they got on her for taking money from a guy that was a known criminal. Well, not a known criminal, but a guy that turned out to be a criminal. And I'm like, how would she know that? Like, she took money from him, and she used all that money for the charity purposes. And it only came out after the money had all been spent that he did like shady stuff.
Right. Well, plus it was also the lack of balance. I mean, I'm all for like doing a reinterpretation where you say like she's got faults. Like apparently Martin Luther King Jr. had some skeevy stuff, like I guess like cheating on his wife or something.
And Gandhi, he hated black people.
Right. So I'm all for reinterpreting like these are human beings with faults. But I think they were presenting it like she's a terrible person, like she didn't do any good at all. It's like, what, when's the last time you fed starving people, Holmes? What do you do? Just got to be balanced, right?
Well, the thing is that they he did not understand Catholic doctrine because he took her position of the notion of redemptive suffering to mean that she sought out to make people suffer so they could come to Christ.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
That's not what redemptive suffering is.
right. Yeah. No, I can see that.
Redemptive suffering is not you're going to make suffering happen so someone can come to Christ. Redemptive suffering is, well, you're suffering and you're trying to make the best out of it by saying, oh, look what Jesus did on the cross.
Right, exactly.
But anyway, if he was still alive, then Hitchens would probably be canceled along with like Dawkins was.
Yeah,
what do you mean Dawkins was canceled from what? I didn't catch this. I know they're mad at him.
They stripped him of his Humanist Award for questioning
I saw that.
the transgender dogma.
I saw that. And David Silverman, right? Isn't he like there's something they have against him? But I don't know the details.
He got accused of having an affair. No, he got accused of sexually assaulting a woman.
Right. Okay. And it's somewhat plausible, right? It's like
I believe was Matt Dillahunty's wife.
Or what?
Yeah, he's a cuck.
What?
Dillahunty's a cuck.
He sexually assaulted his wife, or he cheated on his wife, or he.
Well, it's not really cheating because Matt Dillahunty and I think his ex-wife, they both had like sort of a
open relationship.
And apparently, I think she said that David Silverman sexually assaulted her or something like that.
Oh, okay. Wow.
As far as I'm aware, there's, and David Silverman got canceled for that, and they took him out of the organization that he helped create, I believe.
Wow. I didn't know any of this. I've just seen I watched a little bit of the drama on Twitter. Like I saw them complaining about Dawkins, and I know he got excommunicated from that award. And I know they're complaining about David Silverman. I've seen some clip of him saying like penis or something on air, and they're all like freaking out. But that's about the depth of my knowledge.
Rat Rolls almost got canceled, but in the end he groveled and apologized. Usually that doesn't really work, apologizing, usually just admitting guilt, but they managed to take him back in.
Well, no, those people quit the atheist experience because of that, right? That's what I thought. The
Rationality Rules got, he got accused of being transphobic, and then he groveled back into the loving arms of the SJW community and donated money to them.
But the funny thing, that was the one thing he was right about. Like everything else he gets wrong, his followers don't call him out on that because they agree with him. But
he just, it was just really ridiculous, and I always just found it sort of funny that's how what they chose to cancel him for.
Yeah, but I didn't realize. I thought that people quit the atheist experience because of that, like Tracy Harris and Jen Peoples, I think.
You have to remember that, like with all leftists, eventually, it's sort of like the Joker's motto: you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
It's sort of like it's like with leftists: either you die a hero or you live long enough to get canceled.
Oh yes,
right, right, especially now.
Scholar also managed to evade cancellation because he groveled.
I don't think he groveled, did he? Are you talking about when he made that video of Eric Hernandez?
Yeah, in the shower.
I don't think he groveled. All right, if he did, I didn't catch it.
That's how they managed to. That's how they gave him.
The worst than the Mother Teresa, though, is the whole disinformation campaign about like Adolf Hitler was a Christian. And like the exhibit A is like the belt buckle said God Mittunts, and like that was a Catholic army. I mean, it's such a bizarre like I don't know anything about history, so I'll take a few details and pretend that they mean something. I mean, what's his face? Tim O'Neill must have had a field day with that. Did you guys ask him about that when he was on your channel?
Yeah. I mean, almost any historian grants outside of, Richard Carrier. Uh,
Yeah,
Hey,
he should be
I
canceled
thought
by
it was open.
he should be canceled by today's standards since he was a pervert. He
well,
sexually assaulted like several women.
he got accused,
Yeah.
but they didn't find anything to convict him. So, that is what it is. Although, what he is, funny enough, I think he tried to sue them for like $1 million.
wait, what? Who sued who? Say that again.
Richard Carrier tried to sue the women that accused him of sexually assaulting them for like $1 million, I think.
Wow, that's really weird.
I know. You have to remember he's a pathological narcissist.
So that shouldn't be surprising.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say he's guilty or nothing because I didn't find any evidence to convict him or anything on it.
It has more evidence than his thesis.
Than his mythos thesis.
That's not saying much, but I'm being fair. I'm an MRA. I can't just, drop that on him without, because I didn't find enough evidence to do anything with him. So I can't.
Oh yeah, and then there's Krause, who nobody talks about anymore.
Oh yeah. He got canceled as well.
I didn't catch that. Who's the girl that you guys, maybe not Brass, but I think you, Sparky, there's Liz something who was accusing Tim O'Neill of being a secret Christian.
Oh yeah, Godless Liz said.
Who is that? That's the first time I noticed her.
She's unhinged. She's another just a Twitter Bolshevik Karen, we call her.
Bolshevik Karen.
She really likes you.
I know.
She really likes him. Why? What, did she block you yet?
Oh, she's in love with me. No, she won't block me because she thinks that I win.
You win if you get blocked?
Well, apparently with I also got blocked by Dylan Hunter because I corrected him about Christians not destroying the Library of Alexandria, and he had no defense for that.
So he blocked you.
Yep.
I mean, he blocks anyone that questions his beliefs.
Which proves that these people don't really care about truth.
Well, if they cared about truth, they wouldn't be lacktheists.
The only person who blocked me, as far as I know, intentionally was Pink Heretic, and that was when I first came on Twitter.
That's lovely.
Yeah, we noticed you got spicy lately.
Who did?
You on Twitter.
No, not really. Just in the last week.
There's only so much bullshit you can take.
Yeah, well, that was just the other times it wasn't really spicy. That guy was there were two guys who were just having long debates with me, and I wasn't necessarily going off on them because there was no reason to. But they didn't really. What?
I'll also say that besides your obvious debates on Twitter and online, I have noticed that a particular tactic that you go for is that you don't really, go for the kalam or anything like that. You typically stick to religious experience.
Yes, that's a huge chunk of what I do on my channel. I'm doing my own. I don't actually like. I don't really want to go into the kalam, but I'm not really crazy about it as an argument. I kind of like the contingency argument, and I didn't until. I was sort of underrating that until I saw that stream with the three Muslims confront Aaron Ra, and like where they basically walk him to necessary being. Did you guys see that one yet? Where those?
Yeah, I saw bits of that, but Aaron Ra has this remarkable talent for getting absolutely everything wrong about everything outside of biology.
Yeah. No, he doesn't really know very much at all about any of the other topics that he covers. He just rants.
Yeah, but he has this bombastic confidence that make his impressionable followers think he knows what he's talking about, since he's so well versed in biology. But even that's just basic 80s introductory level of science.
Well, he goes on like these like anti-religious tirades. That's his thing. Like even when he was debating IP, his counter arguments was like Christianity is so awful. This woman drowns her kids. this woman drowned her kids because she was getting voices from this imaginary sky fairy. And he has this whole like list of tirades that he goes on. That's like,
loved his response to Eric Hernandez, and I actually memed it.
oh yeah. I haven't seen that for a while, but where he just like foams at the mouth for like 20 minutes.
He
Like,
says, "Got evidence." He doesn't
right.
got.
Show me the evidence. You got evidence or not for your
Oh,
sky
yeah.
fairy?
Oh yeah, one time he exploded and went on Mr. Intelligent Design.
I mean, I just always found that funny. Like, you know, Iron Raw could be a comedian, but unintentionally.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because he probably hates Trump with the passion, right? But he's
Well-
very Trump-like. Like he just like connects by, barraging. By just like
That's the same with Dillahunty and all these other thought leaders within the New Atheists. Their followers are basically like Trump supporters.
Well, to be fair, Iron Raw is probably as religious as Donald Trump is.
No,
right,
actually, he's more religious than Trump. He's just anti every other.
anti-religion is his religion. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It's anti-Christianity is his religion. You start talking Christianity, he just starts. Did you guys see when he interviewed the Hindu guy, Aryuna, that I had on my channel? I thought that interview was hilarious because it was the same thing. He just foamed at the mouth for like 3 hours, for like an hour and a half, and everything Aryuna was saying to him made complete sense. You could disagree with it, but it was perfectly cogent, and he was using metaphors, and he just go rah, 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 rah. It's just like foam at the mouth as a response. It was crazy.
I mean, Hinduism does have some truth to it, like Islam and every other, like most other religions, various faiths and beliefs have some truth to them. But
right, I would say Hinduism more than most, more than Islam to some degree. But I don't know any of the commentaries on Islam. There's probably different schools that are probably smart. That's
David Wood.
We've been trying to get a Muslim on here for Christ knows how long.
You should get those guys, those like 3 Muslim scholar guys. They're pretty sharp. I mean, they know their philosophy.
Probably maybe that one guy from Andalusian Project, or damn, I forgot the other one's name.
Did you guys have atheists on the show?
Yeah, several.
We had Jackson Wheat. We had I can't remember Bill Lutlow, the late
that was not long before he died.
Yeah, Tim O'Neill. We had
Tyler Preston.
Tyler Preston. So we've had plenty of atheists on here.
Right.
Oh yeah, and we had Lauren L. from Atheist Republic.
Oh, that's the Republican atheist. Or
yeah,
no, is that
atheist? That's what I mean. I always get those two confused, even though they're completely different.
They're completely
that was I bet you celebrated
Atheist Republic is almost like a caricature of atheism. It's like even the atheists complain. They're so like, they're so unfair and like dishonest, and they make such like stupid memes that even other atheists are like, oh my God, those are the low man on the totem pole. But,
I know Brad celebrated when they got banned on Facebook.
I know I did. Although I will say I have an unhealthy addiction to them.
Yeah, you're the democratically elected asshole because you kept contradicting them.
Well, yeah, because I don't know, for maybe like 2 or 3 years, I did nothing but go on their page, and whenever they made any post, I just kept on commenting and said, "Hey, you're this, and this is wrong."
Actually,
yeah, and basically, I actually bought Armin's book, and I bought, another one of I can't remember his name, but I bought another one of the people that worked at Atheist Republic's book, and Armin's book, I will say, was the better of them. He's more educated. But
was he a Muslim originally?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say he's educated. He's just he was able to articulate his points, but he didn't really know very much.
Well, it was better than the guy that I read. Where basically they was arguing for anti-theism or something, and I just said, I actually got a headache from reading it because it was just ridiculously bad. It was one of the worst books I have ever read.
Even the Soviet Union produced better books on anti-theism than that.
Yeah. I would always say that. I always also find it funny because a lot of people will say me and Codes here are right-wingers. Right.
And then we get called far leftists by far
Well,
right.
the deal is nowadays, if you have like a normal take, like that used to be considered just center or even center left, like Jordan Peterson, you're considered far right. They'll call you like alt right even. Like Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin was a young Turk, and I mean, I guess he did become conservative to some degree, but
He's he considers himself a classical liberal, which is
right. A lot of the people they're saying are alt right consider themselves the way a liberal always was. Like how I was raised, like I still consider myself center left, sort of, but not really the way it is nowadays. I'm more like center right, because the woke left.
And Carl Benjamin, one of the old guard, is also considered alt right, even though he's center left.
Well,
like they consider like who's the not the guy who streamed with Peterson, the atheist dude, the religion. Oh man, I can't remember his name.
Sam.
No, they can consider him alt right, but the other guy.
No, he still has very loyal followers.
The other guy too. They consider alt right, and he's just like a classic liberal in the sense of like if you think free speech is more important than woke, they consider you a right wing opinion. That to me is like. That used to be a normal opinion about politics. It wasn't the questioned opinion.
Like in the 60s and 70s, or like even a little bit far back than that, it was the conservatives that were more against the free speech.
Yeah, of course. Like somebody kept pointing that out on Twitter, that cancel culture used to be, Christians and right-wing people complaining about like Martin Scorsese. But the difference was they never canceled anything. You never saw them picketing like Last Temptation of Christ and went like, they're going to get that movie taken away. It never worked. You never thought about it.
Then there's McCarthyism in the 50s where we were canceling communists, and it was awesome.
Yes, I mean, there was McCarthyism where that was more conservatives targeting leftist opinions.
Yeah, totally.
They were canceling communists primarily. It was glorious.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say that because, I think communists still have freedom of speech, even though I disagree with everything that really comes out of their mouth.
Yeah, but look where we're at now as a society.
Yeah, I know, but I still, it's called having principles.
Well, the principle used to be the thing. That's the point. It's like the principle was...
Principle doesn't get you anywhere in current year.
Yeah, but I still hold to them anyway. What distinguishes us from other primates.
This is true.
But yeah, I always just found it funny, like, people will say that me and Codes are far right because we hold maybe one or two opinions that right-wingers hold. But if you ask us our political stances on many things, we would be liberals.
I get called a far leftist by MAGA loons.
Yeah, yeah, Codes voted for Joe Biden, and I personally consistently shat on Trump whenever I could when he was president. And, I also criticized conservative Christians as well. So, I mean, hell, on my own channel, most of my response videos are to conservative Christians.
Yeah, I get called for being a leftist just for advocating DeSantis over Trump for 2024.
Although,
because I point out how futile another Trump administration would be.
well, I would love Trump to win just because I would like to see how many more times he could get impeached in 4 more years.
just
It's like 10-time
like
impeachment.
pull a Grover Cleveland on him and just break people's minds on both sides even further.
That's my sole reason. That's my only reason why I would want Trump to get in for another 4 years,
Like-
just to see how many times he could be impeached.
In all likelihood, he probably won't run again anyway, but he'll probably just tease it out until the last minute.
You think he won't run, really?
I don't know. My gut feeling is that he'll probably tease it out until the last minute, just as one last troll against the establishment, and then let DeSantis take the reins.
Maybe.
Maybe. I think it would be more likely that Trump runs for like the Senate or something.
What?
Yeah, because DeSantis needs to be our guy if this country is to have a future.
Yeah. I would personally like that. Although, did you hear that Candace Owens might be running?
For president?
Yeah, she's kind of teasing it out. No, she'd be better as a more balanced Oprah.
Well, I always joked about this. I said there would be, if I had to make my dream Republican ticket for president, it would be Candace Owens with Dan Crenshaw as her vice VP.
Is that the patch guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the patch guy. Because could you imagine Kamala Harris?
Nobody would vote against them for fear of being like. Is that why?
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine Joe Biden and Kamala Harris having to go against a black woman and a disabled veteran?
Right, that's what I thought you meant. Like nobody would dare vote against him or publish negative articles.
Mine would be DeSantis because he doesn't fuck around. And he's taking steps to strip power from these tech tyrants who actually run the show, and he's also sticking it to the woke. He passed a bill banning trannies from competing in women's sports on the first day of Pride Month.
Which takes balls, I will admit. I disagree with him though on that. I actually support the trans people.
No, but this is female sports where the trans actually have an advantage.
Well, just remember this: the only people that watch female sports is their parents.
I know, but I know, but it's principle. These women work hard and they just get dominated by these guys who are technically men.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm honestly for that sort of thing because I think it would help men get more scholarships opportunities than they currently are.
How does that work?
Because biological men are falling behind currently in the educational system.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And then
I agree with the trans movement because I think this is a perfect time for the culture to crush gynocentrism and chivalry.
Wow, that's some pretty woke. That's some pretty intersectionality wokeness there, man. Impressed.
Well, they hate me for that because I'm against gynocentrism.
Anyway, my dream ticket would be DeSantis and Tulsi Gabbard since she's willing to be nonpartisan.
She's willing to be nonpartisan.
She's a Democrat.
She's destroyed Kamala Harris in the Democratic debate. That was the most I've ever seen anybody be best annihilated in a presidential primary in a debate. That was just annihilated her.
So are you
crazy? Kamala was chosen for no other reason than that she's barely black.
I mean, so aren't you guys excited for future President Kamala Harris?
Yeah, it should be good. It should be good.
Biden's not going to last long, and when she takes president and then she gets in the primaries, then she's not going to stand a chance against DeSantis or pretty much anybody else who's running because nobody likes her.
It's definitely a possibility. That is actually could be. I don't know if Biden could run again even if I don't know if he could do it.
I mean, I first I think Biden. If I had to make a prediction, I think Biden will probably end up having to resign.
It's plausible. The one thing that protected him was COVID, because he could he could say, I'm not going out and doing speeches every day because of COVID. But it's clear that he wouldn't be able to have done that if it were a normal campaign schedule. He wouldn't have been able to do a normal, let me go to Tulsa, Oklahoma today and take a bus and go to a town tomorrow. Like, he's an old, whatever, what is he, 78 or something? Seems like a really old 78. Is he 78? Is that right?
Yeah, that's another thing. We shouldn't have crusty old men run for president, because there's always another chance that they'll decline their cognitive faculties, start to slowly.
Well, it does come quick. I mean, you turn around and it's all of a sudden it's gone. So,
well, to be fair to Biden, he looked like he was mentally declining when he first entered the office.
I don't know, the guy's dying before our eyes, and the left just don't seem to notice. Everybody else notices.
Well, there's a reason why he's called creepy, sleepy Beijing Biden.
He's sleepy Beijing Biden.
Sniffing hair and eating ice cream.
Hey, remember Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Corn Pop was a bad dude. That was hilarious. Corn Pop was a bad dude, and I was by the pool.
Come on, man. It's just with the thing, throwing up at a shopper pressure.
On one hand, I want to make fun of him, but on the other hand, it's sort of like making fun of your grandpa that has Alzheimer's.
No, he's kind of bringing on himself, since he's letting these far leftists control him.
Yeah. So anyway, Craig. Oh yeah. So is there any debate sort of tips you could give a Christian that if they want to approach more atheist?
I think the best way to approach atheists is the way that I've been doing on my channel, where you kind of avoid debates and just have them on for a normal conversation, where you just kind of ask them questions, because the defenses go down and they just kind of fill you in. That's probably the ideal thing, because a lot of the stuff that I kind of get where an ex-fundamentalist is coming from, in that a lot of the fundamentalist tribes that they grew up in were actually pretty toxic, exactly as they said. So I think a lot of it is just letting them see, like, a huge chunk of it, at least as far as I'm concerned, is just having a normal dialogue with them. Other than that, you tell me, do you think the only time I've ever seen arguments convince somebody was by the Muslims, and there was like some big rupture in the atheist community, because apparently, I don't know if you guys caught this, but apparently some atheist, like pretty well-known atheist, I think his name was Emperor Atheist, converted to Islam based on, I think, the contingency argument, or maybe the Kalam.
Wait, when did this happen?
Like a month ago, and then it was a big to do. You didn't catch any of this?
No, didn't he? He used to shit on Islam all the time.
Yeah, he was like a regular, anti-theist atheist.
Yeah, and he was
in the fight with all of them.
Yeah, and he was excommunicated because he's like, I ain't down with that gay shit.
Oh, was he excommunicated first? Because he converted to Islam.
Yeah, he was excommunicated no,
that's a different guy. That's a different guy. I know who you're talking about. I think that's a different guy. This guy was Empire Atheism, I think. You're thinking of Emperor Atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally different guy.
I was about to say, that guy would never convert to Islam.
No, this guy converted to Islam, and it was a big, you didn't catch any of this? It was a big, 3-day conversation about, Ocean was defending him because he said, the arguments have some merit, and the guy was won over by one of the philosophical arguments. I forget which one. And these guys kind of know their stuff.
Bro, did
Outside,
he grow a beard?
what's that?
Did he grow a beard?
I think so. I think he grew a beard and started wearing like one of those Islamic hats. I don't know. I didn't follow it that closely. I just kind of noticed it.
When people convert from atheism, is usually to Christianity.
Yeah, I would think so.
Or some form of paganism.
Well, paganism seems natural to me. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of atheists start becoming more polytheist over the next couple of years because
that's what many of these neo-pagans are. They're kind of a cosplaying atheists that just want purpose in life because they know that logical conclusion that atheism leads to, which is existential nihilism.
Well, there was a cool video that I posted from Micah. He's Crusade Against Ignorance, and he was kind of talking about it, partially from a scientific point of view, and partially from that point of view. Like, he doesn't believe in the polytheists, like these are actually spirits or demons or things like that. But he was exploring it from a secular neo-pagan point of view, that he thinks it's something that he might, I forget if he said he might get into or he's interested in. And from the point of view of ritual and ethics, that's exactly what he said. Basically, the ethical structure of, I don't know that much about it though. Is there a strong ethical strain in some of these neo-pagans or some of the, I don't really know any of the details on polytheism. Is there a strong ethical strain in it? Is that a thing?
I know that, I believe it was a former atheist named Stick Hexenhammer.
Yes. 666, that conservative dude, right?
Yeah, I listen to him all the time. He's basically part of the, as the left would say, alt-right, but he's just anyway, he just goes on these rants all the time, and it's hilarious to watch.
And he's like a pagan now.
Oh, is he really? Yeah, he seems pretty talented. I've only seen one or two of his videos, but he's definitely got a thing. He's definitely got a talent for, yapping on YouTube. I thought it was entertaining, definitely.
So today, everyone, Beijing Biden keeps fucking everything up, and this and that.
I love that. He's the reason why I started calling Biden Beijing Biden.
Was he originally one of these atheists, like a Thunderfoot?
Yeah, he's part of the old guard.
Wow, and he became a polytheist?
I don't know, some sort of pagan. I don't know what. Anyway, he's friends with that white nationalist Catholic Latino Nick Fuentes.
I don't really. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know.
He's a crazy kid that's too extreme even for most right wingers.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also calls himself a Catholic.
Oh, Cyrus hates his guts.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, there's a lot of strain in the Catholic community right now.
Cyrus the skeptic hates him? Is that what you meant? Is Cyrus still an atheist, or is he starting to lean polytheist too?
He's still an atheist.
Yeah, he's still an atheist. He's just part of the woke cult, but he's exceptional in that he's one of the more likable ones.
Yeah, no, Cyrus was on my channel a couple times a long time ago. I always liked Cyrus. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He seems to have, I guess, because he's focusing more on left-wing stuff. Yeah, so I don't really watch the videos as often because
we've been trying to get him on our channel for
what?
For a while.
Yeah.
He hates me, I think.
Who hates you?
Cyrus.
Sparky?
No, Cyrus.
Oh, I thought you meant.
I think he hates me because he muted me on Twitter.
Did you guys have Ocean on here?
Oh, no.
What about any of the other? Are there other polytheists?
I don't think we will. He still has an open invitation to come talk to us, but I don't think he will because he blocked me on Twitter.
I blocked him on Twitter as well.
What about other polytheists? Are there others? There's some that are kind of marginally attached to that crew that I don't really know who they are, but they might be interesting to talk to.
Yeah, there was that one guy, but my old account got banned, so I can't really find his username. I was friends with him on my other account.
We've had pretty much every religion on here except Muslims. and we're trying to get Muslims and a pagan on here eventually. We've had a Buddhist on here before.
Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty
oh
cool.
yeah,
How'd
one of the
that go?
members of our Twitter crew was ex-pagan. So does that count?
Pretty much.
Half counts.
Yeah, he was a former Norse pagan.
I think Ron might have actually had a time where he either dabbled in paganism or was kind of.
That's who we were talking about, Ronald. He
Ronald
was,
Pott.
yeah, he was a former Norse pagan.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, that's who you meant?
Yeah,
Well, he's a Christian, so you had him on as a Christian. He wasn't really on there preaching paganism. He was on there preaching the gospel, right?
yeah. He talked to him a lot about paganism, what he
Oh,
used to
that's
believe.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, um, you know, and yeah, I like talking about that sort of stuff. I try to get as of much variety as I possibly can on these shows.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You guys have a cool lineup. I've mentioned that before. You had Scion and Sarah Salviander. Did you have her on more than once, or you only had her on?
twice.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We got, we had her on twice because one time Sparky couldn't be on there,
And
and
you went on without me, dickhead.
you did that to me before as well, so I don't want to hear that.
When was this?
I can't remember exactly when, but I know you did it once before.
No, you told me to do that because you couldn't make it. I was interviewing Deflating Atheism.
Yeah, that's what it was.
You
It was
told
with,
you told me to go on without you.
no, you did that because I was asleep or something.
Yeah, we
But
waited for like 30 minutes. And then
yeah,
you woke up after we were done.
yeah, that's how it really was. So I mean, you know, I got you back on that. Um, yeah. Alright, another question I wanted to ask you, Craig, is, what got you into using religious experience as one of your go-to things?
What the thing cut out a little. What got me into using religious experience as one of my go-to things? Is that the question?
Yeah, yeah, for Christian apologetics and stuff.
Partially because basically the reason I became a Christian, and I haven't put that video up in a long time, but that's how I became a Christian. I was, I was what was I doing? I was working at some waiting job, some job I didn't like, and my wife was starting to get back into Christianity. She had been a lapsed Christian for a while. She'd been a lapsed Christian when I first met her, and then she had started like recommitting to the Lord. That's what she called it. Said to her, I'm recommitting my life to the Lord, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I had no idea what she meant at the time. And then so we moved out to California, and then she was going to this church down the road, the Malibu Vineyard, and she said, "There's some prophet guy who I want you to come see." And that night, I just kind of went on the lark. Like I was basically open-minded. I'd go check anything out, Scientology, whatever. I was, check anything out. And then the guy did this like kind of prophecy over me, and he started speaking into me, and it was like it's hard to explain, but it was a really powerful experience that night. And I was like, there's something real about this. And then since then, like I started out slow a little over a few months with that church, but like, I don't know, to me, that was like the power of the power was convincing enough to me in the moment that it didn't quite convert me on the spot, but I was like, there's something real about this. This is real to me. And that's why I make it the focus of a lot of my apologetics, because a lot of the counter apologetics and a lot of the stuff that gets debated is like totally irrelevant. I mean, you can still have questions about like whether the Exodus happened or not and be a Christian. Those are like academic questions. That has nothing to do with being a Christian. I'll look at the archaeological records and decide. I don't really even know where the debate is at in terms of whether the Exodus is true or not. But a lot of these,
we interviewed an Egyptologist a couple weeks ago on that.
right? Well, I'm not even sure where the scholarship points to. Like, if you listen to the agnostics, it points to it didn't happen. You listen to the Christians, it definitely happened. But like, that's totally irrelevant to being a Christian. I mean, you can be a
But that aside, but much of those who say it didn't happen haven't really looked into it that much.
Right. But it's also irrelevant to being a Christian. A lot of the stuff that gets debated on the atheist side that they want to always debate are not relevant.
Genocide and slavery and
right. Exactly. All that stuff. I'm so glad when I first became a Christian that I didn't know any of those like fake arguments, because they would have warped my brain when I first started going to this church. Because it was, I started committing after about the first 5 months. I was kind of like, just checking it out. Wasn't really sure if I believed it. And then I started becoming a really committed Christian. And I didn't have any of this fake, like, I wasn't sure what to think about whether the flood actually happened or any of that stuff, but nobody ever brought it up. It wasn't like people were preaching about it at the church. It was more of a practical, like, God in your own life, finding Jesus and living your life as a Christian. That's what more of the church teachings were about. That's why I didn't really know anything about apologetics when I first started, because I wasn't even aware that some of these debates were happening. And most of the people at my church aren't. Like, if you ask them about the Amalekites, what do you think? They'd be like, who on earth are the Amalekites, Greg? Like,
I would say, are you a practicing Christian?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
So you're practicing to be one?
Oh, slam. Oh, slam. Dang, did I just walk into that and get owned? I guess. I'm not even sure what that means. What does it mean? Yes, I'm practicing to be one. No, most of the debates, I mean, am I wrong here? Most of the debates that get debated are irrelevant. Yes or no?
Yeah, but they don't really address the evidence for the resurrection much of anything. And those that do touch on the subject of the New Testament will just point to cherry-pick verses about slaves obeying your masters, which was more practical in light of the Roman Empire and all this other stuff. But those who really don't want to address it will just choose the mythicist side as a scorched earth tactic. Because you don't have to deal with the evidence and just presuppose that it's all for nothing anyway.
Did you say mythicists? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the younger creationists of atheism. Because their whole ideology is a scorched earth approach to Jesus.
Yes, I agree. If you move the ball, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's semi-conscious but if you move the discussion from does God exist to did Jesus even live, then you're moving the conversation away from anything that can convince anybody about the existence of God. And I also don't think, like, specifically Christian apologetics are necessarily successful. That's why I started focusing on religious experience, because there are tangible religious experiences that you can have. They're actually, you can go and do studies. People don't get this, but like, you could go, it just hasn't happened yet. You can go to a church where people are having quote unquote Holy Spirit experiences, and you can do empirical investigations on these people and see. There's one sociologist who sat down with these guys and started, investigating it. But, I don't know. To me, it's the most fruitful thing. There's other things that I talk about, but that's been one of the main ones.
If you ever want to read up on, like, the best book that I could recommend you if you want to read up on religious experiences would be the book called The Trace of God by Joseph Hinman.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Joseph Hinman. I'll look that up tonight. Yeah. The new things I've been getting into. Tomorrow I'm going to do a stream on idealism. So that's going to become one of my go-to things. Not necessarily that I'm an idealist, but that's going to be something that I've be exploring. And then there's other new stuff that I'm going to start introducing. But yes, religious experience has been one of the main go-to ones.
What's so funny is that Inane Dragon He's another atheist.
Yes, I know.
Where he said that his old pastor said idealism was a heresy, and basically he forgot to he confused two different things: idealism when it comes to revelation, and idealism as in the consciousness debate. Those are
Right.
two different things.
Yeah, totally. Totally. But there's a whole because a lot of the atheists that are the fundamentalist atheists argue as if they're still fundamentalist Christians. And it's really weird. They have there's different atheists now, like the philosophical atheists, who are a lot more nuanced and intelligent. And a lot of them are agnostics, but they're a lot more they're talking about philosophical arguments. But a lot of the old guard atheists are debating Christianity, only fundamentalist Christianity. That's it.
That's also the new guard, especially.
Well, that's what I mean. But
And when you try
what
to,
I'm talking
when you
about,
try,
right?
yeah, and when you try to present biblical scholarship and hermeneutics, they just double down.
Right,
on
but they talk about the
fundamental
Bible like they're still fundamentalist literalists, and
Yeah,
it's bizarre.
yeah,
Right?
because that's all they know, and they want to see the faith in the most uncharitable, worst light possible because it helps them feel better about rejecting it.
Well, I honestly, I think there's truth in that. I really do. I think there's a lot of truth in that. It's not everybody, but there's definitely a squad of atheists that is true of.
And it's part of the breakup rule that you cherry pick all these off-putting verses in the Bible and see it through that lens and just downplaying all the good stuff.
Right. And have you've read like a Dao De Ching at one point, or you've read other religious texts? There was a time when I was like 25, I wouldn't read the Dao De Ching to be like, as soon as I find something wrong, I'm now going to dismiss it all. You read it to go, is there truth in it? Does any of this seem true or ring true? So you read it allegorical if you don't believe in that particular religion, and they just don't seem to ever do that. I mean, that's the first thing you should be doing, is reading it like an allegory, not like oh, here's something that's wrong, gotcha. It's weird, like Dan Barker. Did you see the Dan Barker versus
Randall Rouser? Yeah.
Did you watch that debate? I mean, he did exactly that, right?
Yeah, just doubled down the whole time.
Yeah, I would like to.
That's what Pine Creek and his followers do. Also,
I would like to inform you that we've gone past the hour mark.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anything you'd like to share? Any more? Introduce the dear audience what new projects you're working on, or where you go from here.
Well, some of the new things I've been working on. Let me see. Am I still on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I cut out accidentally. So tomorrow I'm going to be streaming with Lone Sparta. He's coming on the channel, do an introduction to idealism. And then he's going to have an interview, I think, coming up in a week or so with Bernardo Kastrup. I've started reading his stuff and getting into his metaphysical idealism. That's going to be something I bring up a lot in the days to come. And then I've also started looking into, I mean, I guess that's enough to, there's different directions I'm going to be heading into for sure. I'll still always go back to the religious experience argument, try to fine tune it, because I think it's actually, it could be fine tuned into a really convincing argument wherein, you try the religious experience out, like you try, and then you can decide for yourself if it feels convincing to you that this is, there's something to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like is that what? Go ahead.
Oh, like I said, there was one scholar named Joseph Heinemann in his book The Trace of God that I think you'd get a lot of kick out of it, because he does sort of make the argument for religious experience to God.
Yes. Remind me of that when we get off. Make sure you tweet that to me or write it down, because I definitely want to read that. So I'll add that. That'll be one of the things I'll be checking out and adding to my. I'm always fine tuning that argument, because I think ultimately it can be really good. because that's how I became convinced. You know, a
Mm.
lot of people would be convinced if they had a powerful, convincing experience. It's really that simple. It's not that hard to have one. So that's
Although,
why I work on them. What?
yeah, I say though I'm a bit of an exception to the rule. I had like a very powerful experience, and I ended up deconverting.
Yeah, I thought. Did you talk about that on Stephanie's channel at one point? I think I listened to some of that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
What was the
So
deal with that?
yeah, like I was saying, what happened was I had a very powerful experience that because prior to the experience, I was a very liberal Christian. I really didn't know anything about the Gospels or anything like that. I just
Right.
sort of had vague belief in Jesus.
Right.
And then I had this very powerful experience, and I said, I wanted to have this, I wanted to figure out what Christianity was, and I wanted to, learn more about it so I could understand this experience better. And I ended up doing that, and I ended up later on just deconverting.
Because you started exploring it like an atheist with the there's no evidence here and there's no like that type of thing, and I can't believe there's the Exodus might not have happened, and
It
is
was,
that what you mean?
it
Like you
was.
started looking at
I was
what?
seeing a lot of the disagreements and a lot of the. I found, that, and plus I had researched into neuroscience, and I sort of just.
What does that have to do with Christianity, though? Aren't you? You're a deist.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that, well, I became a deist like soon after. Well, not soon after I deconverted. I became a deist, afterwards. I was an agnostic for a while, and then I sort of went to deism. So, I mean, yeah, that's sort of what happened to me. I actually have a whole video on my channel about it. It's actually probably one of my most popular videos for some funny reason.
That's interesting. I'll probably check that out. I'm definitely going to look into that book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Cindy,
I guess that makes sense because you started. I guess that makes some sense.
Yeah. So, like the project mentioned it. Anything else you'd like to tell the audience before we head out?
No, I think we're good. This was fun, right?
Yeah.
Who won? Did I win? I wrecked you guys. I freaking wrecked you. Who won? Who destroyed who? I think I destroyed you guys. So,
you couldn't handle my mad skills, bro.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I was struggling on the ropes for a while there, but then I think I ultimately came back and just took it home. No, this was cool. This was like a cool chat. So I liked it. I'll come back at some point in a few months and seal the deal. Put the whole crew away.
All right, where can people find you?
Find me on Craig Reed TCR and on Twitter. But don't really look for me on Twitter because I don't really want to chat yet. I like Twitter, but I like keeping Twitter to a minimum. Get caught up in Twitter. Those debates I got on Twitter in the last 3 weeks, those take like 4 hours. Twitter, like when you get into a Twitter debate, man, time just like it eats up your entire day. And you're like, dang, what did I just do for the last 4 hours? Right?
I know, like David Wood one time was in a debate for 8 hours straight on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Wow. Then he got up in the middle of the night and to get a midnight snack, and his wife asked him how he was. He's like, "Get out of my face!" She's like, "Okay, I know you're angry now, but I'm your wife.
Yeah,
this is real life."
Psychopath.
My wife does that a lot. Whenever I snap at my wife, she's always like, "What's going on with your Twitter boyfriends?" She's like, "What's going on with your fake friends on Twitter?" Like, because she always associated with. It's weird though because I have an iPhone, and she's right. I am always on my phone, but that doesn't mean I'm on Twitter because there's everything I do now is on my phone. Like I watch movies on my phone. I watch YouTube videos, everything I do. I even read the paper on my phone, and I read like the news on my phone. There's almost nothing I don't do on the phone anymore. So it's like I'm on the phone like 5 hours a day, but I'm not necessarily on Twitter, thank God, for 5 hours.
All
Yeah.
right. All right, you know where to find Craig. See ya and good night.
And good night.
Down south, 'cause it has a feel